Captain, we have them! We've established Transporter Lock, the Star Trek podcast. Join Ken and Sabriel each week as they explore strange new episodes, seek out new plots and new characters, and boldly go where no podcast has gone before.
Hello and welcome back to Transporter Lock. It's been a long road getting from there to here. I am Captain Sabriel Maston on this journey, and as always, I have my chief engineer, Ken Gagney. Hello, Ken.
Hello, Captain Sabriel. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty dang good. Here we got Picard is back, and now you're thinking with portals.
Yes, I am. That's exactly what I was thinking of this past week, and I had no idea how terrifying portals could be.
I mean, I won't go into it anymore, but when I saw that scene, I literally said, like, I cussed at the screen. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but...
Yeah, it was great to finally have Picard back on the air. It's been a while for you and me since we've had one of these podcasts, and a lot's changed. I would say, at least for me, this is the most time zone difference there's ever been between us. 7 hours.
That is quite a difference here, trying to get our schedules to align.
Yeah, and having to use a VPN to watch Star Trek Picard on the US-based Paramount Plus account that I own to get it to work from here in Budapest, Hungary.
And speaking of VPNs, you can get a subscription off NordVPN. No, any ads.
Why is NordVPN the one everybody goes to? I don't even use Nord.
I know, I don't get it either. They're making their big push. Netflix did it back in the day to get everyone online, and so now it's NordVPN.
Okay, well, their day has come, I guess. But yeah, I am 7 hours ahead of you, which is working out really well for me in watching Star Trek, actually, because you probably watch Star Trek, if history is any indicator, almost first thing when you wake up, like around 6 or 7 a.m. Is that right?
Yep. I make coffee, make my English muffins, and then watch Star Trek.
Ooh, English muffins. So I watch it at 9 a.m., which is later than you, but I'm watching it at 2 a.m. your time. So I'm basically watching it. I had to keep refreshing every hour on the hour because I didn't know which midnight it would become available at. And it turns out it's midnight Pacific time, West Coast, United States. Mm-hmm. And so I am working 2 to 10 p.m. My local time. So I wake up around 7, I have a leisurely breakfast, a shower, and then I sit down, I watch Star Trek, and then I have 4 hours to think about what I've done until I go to work.
You basically know my experience watching Star Trek all these years.
So jealous. Finally, I get to live the life of Sabriel. At least a little bit.
A little bit. I think one sad note before we begin, I think it would be remiss to honor Annie Wersching. She played the Borg Queen in season 2 of Picard, and she's been on Star Trek before.
Yeah, and she recently passed away, I think, at the age of 43 from cancer.
About that, she was not much older than me here.
Yeah, that was really surprising.
45.
Yeah, I had no idea she was sick, and she was somebody who we'd just seen performing recently. It was almost like when Chadwick Boseman passed away, because he had just been in Black Panther saying, "I never yielded." And we had no idea he was sick that whole time. And clearly Annie was as well when she was recording Picard season 2.
I think most people, she didn't tell most people.
Which is totally understandable. That's her private health information, and she has no need to publicize it. But it makes it all the more surprising and shocking when it finally happens.
Yeah. It was a bummer. I was just like, when I heard that, I was just like, what?
Yeah, because as we discussed last year, I had also seen her on the TV show Timeless, where she played a villain in the second season. And
that's right.
At first, I didn't even recognize her in Picard, because why would I? She had so much makeup on, but she did a fantabulous job in both shows.
Her first acting job was Star Trek as well.
Really?
She was on Star Trek Enterprise. There was that one episode, I think it was season 1. She played as a younger gal who didn't realize that she was living with a bunch of holograms with holographic Renee Auberjonois.
That's right.
Yeah, that was her. That was her first acting credit, apparently. I cannot vouch for this. It's just what an article said.
Yeah, I was not expecting to see her name at the end of this episode of Picard when it said for Annie. And I didn't even say her last name, but those of us, know who that meant.
You know.
Yeah. And that actually, for me, was the most emotional moment in this episode, was
Oh,
seeing
really?
her name. The second most emotional moment was something else you've alluded to, which we'll be talking about. But I think the for Annie, since it was so real and so recent,
Mhm.
and it caught me off guard. That
Yeah.
surprised me. It kind of reminds me of on Enterprise, the actor Kelly Waymeyer, who played Ensign Cutler, who was meant to be a love interest for Dr. Phlox,
Mhm.
and she passed away in her early 40s.
I had such a crush on her.
I can see why. Yeah. And that's why the character never reappeared. It's not because they decided, oh, we don't want to go down that plot line. They just stopped using the character because the actor was no longer available, and that really sucks. I mean, especially for you and I, who are about that age. Actually, I take it back. She was only 36 when she passed, and it just hits so much closer to home. For like that could be you, that could be me, and especially with this pandemic. Well, we're starting this episode on a positive note, aren't we? But
We are.
yeah, let's talk about Picard.
Yes, this is Picard season 3, episode 1. I'm so happy to show us back the next generation. I like this title. We have this title again on the show, and it was part 1, the next generation.
Oh, I don't remember it being part 1. Is it?
Yeah.
Huh.
It was only nothing said that. It was just something that had in the show. But man, we have the music, the homage to the Wrath of Khan with in the 25th century or whatever it was. The start.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like wow. And then the very short intro sequence, right away I was taken back by wow, things are different this time around. This is a movie.
I'm wondering if they're doing that just for the first episode, because as we've seen with TNG season 1, with Discovery season 1, the premieres were actually 2 episodes that were cut in half. It should have been 1 2-hour movie. And I'm wondering if they're doing that this time, because also Picard season 2, I felt the first 2 episodes were great, and then it just went
Mhm.
downhill. So I feel like even though you and I agreed to do a podcast after just the very first episode, we may be premature, and I think the first 2 episodes are really what's going to give us the direction of this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've expressed multiple times now. Like Discovery and Picard are meant to be binged. If you don't have to watch this week by week like we are as we're recording this, don't. You get so much more out of it from binging. Honestly, and it's a shame. And I hope maybe Picard season 3 will change that. But I'm not holding on. I'm not holding my breath.
If we didn't have a podcast, could you actually make yourself wait 9 weeks to
Not
watch all
one
of
bit.
Picard? So it's not like you have to do it because of this show. It's because you want to.
I want to, but I mean, if someone in the future is like, I'm gonna give this podcast a shot, like, go back, go finish the show before you before you come back and listen.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because these shows, all of them have this thing of like setting us up. We're like, what's gonna happen? But we have zero clue, literally nothing, hints, or everything's a red herring. Like, it's so hard to like speculation is not my favorite thing, but even in these shows, they make it intentionally possible.
I mean, I have some ideas I'm looking forward to sharing with you, but I suspect you know even more than I do, not only because you have a better eye for detail, but also I suspect you watched some trailers that I did not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and is that
and
still the case? Make sure I'll temper my spoilers.
I still have not seen
Okay, okay. I'll
many
keep track.
trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then maybe that is a good thing to start on, or it's not start, but go continue on. What do you think this season might be about,
What's it about? I know it's a
not whatever that term means, or what might be happening? I don't take it literally.
okay, because what it's about is for me just getting the old gang back together,
Uh-huh.
and beyond that, who cares? What is going to happen? What is happening? Well, for those, I mean, we do have the rare listener who actually doesn't watch the show. So a brief recap is Picard got a distress signal from Beverly Crusher, who he hasn't talked to in 20 years. So he and Riker go off to save her. Meanwhile, Raffi has gone undercover to find some technology that's been stolen from the Daystrom Institute, which is now being used as a weapon. That's the long and the short of it. Of course, these two things are related. We just don't know how. It's far too early to know how. But based on some rumors I read online, I think not only are we going to see some old friends get back together, but there's going to be some tie-in to why it's this cast and crew in particular that are being pulled into this adventure. But I really don't have an idea of the arc overall. Yeah, it's not a universe-threatening thing like with Discovery is every season. I don't think it's necessarily personal to Picard's journey as a person, like last season was all about. I don't know. What about you?
All right, trying to be very careful here. For me, just based on this episode, I think it's a tale of someone getting revenge on this crew. There are people watching our crew. Like, we even saw at 10 forward, a very little clip. Someone's watching Riker and Picard.
Yep.
Someone is chasing Beverly.
Yep.
Beverly has all these mementos about her past. She sends a secret. She has a plan that she hopes to hell works, and then send a private message to a old cell phone, a communicator that's 20 years old, and hope that Picard has it nearby. And so I think someone is out for revenge on this crew for something that they perceive as a slight or was a slight. And it's all, the season is all about getting the gang back together again.
Just a slight, though?
No, they feel like they were wronged, don't they?
Okay, yep.
So they feel they were wronged or were wronged.
Well, that's interesting because the only real clue I feel that we have to at least one of the villain's identity is the ship that shows up at the very end to capture Crusher's ship. We don't know who or what that is, and the only theory I have doesn't make sense in the timeline of the Federation universe. But, maybe you already know because maybe you saw a trailer and I shouldn't ask, but do you have any ideas who that ship belongs to or what it is?
That ship, the closest looked is kind of old Romulan.
I was also thinking Romulan.
But also in an orange nebula. So it also just looks like evil because it's pointy. But the reason that we did this Romulan is because of Star Trek 2009.
Yes.
Nero's ship. It was very pointy.
So that is exactly the theory that I had, that this looks like a Romulan mining ship. But that doesn't make sense because Romulus has already been consumed by the supernova in this timeline. We saw that very clearly in the first season of Picard. And it's that point in the timeline where Nero goes back in time to try to stop it from happening, more or less. So it's not Nero. We know it's not Nero. And he wouldn't have any vendetta against Picard as far as I know. But I do agree that there's something seemingly Romulan about this. Although they played a big role in the first season. Would they really go back to that well so soon?
I don't know. I think if anything, it's probably just a stolen Romulan ship. But the other ships didn't align. Those little tiny ships didn't align with the Romulans, so
true.
Shuttle things.
I don't think these are anything in the Federation database, so it could be completely different. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, we got little hints. All we know is these people. Every time Beverly and her son, we'll get to that in a second. They say they have different faces every time they see them.
Oh, I missed that line.
Yeah, it was very near the end when that ship is about to reveal itself. He mentions that.
Okay. Huh. I wonder if they're actually coming from different timelines, and so every variation causes them to change their appearance. That doesn't make sense. I don't know.
They have masks on. Something about them. But also, I've seen previews, but I still don't know how this connects to them.
Yeah, the only alien race we know that wears a mask all the time, I think, is the Breen, right? From DS9.
These are not that kind of masks. These ones are more theatrical.
Yeah. Like, I think the Breen need their masks to survive in our environment. I don't know why these people were wearing their mask. It didn't seem necessary.
Yeah.
It seemed more mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just think about the logistics of, all right, what are we gonna look like today? All right, wolf people, monster people from Telar 2. I mean, like,
Rigel 6 or Rigel 7?
oh,
Yeah.
we did Rigel 3 last week. Let's try something else. Yeah. Uh, so again, we have hints, but we don't have clues.
That is
Like,
a good way to put it. I like that.
so
Which is fine because it's only the
it's
first
fine.
episode.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We open with seeing Beverly has all these mementos from her time, or her life and her time on the Enterprise on the ship there. I noted that she has this comedy tragedy mask. She was a performer. She's a stage performer. She had I had to pause it when I was watching the second time. She had an award making her and the crew honorary citizens of Core Caroli 5. I'm like, what the heck was that? So I looked it up. It was the episode I had forgotten about this episode called Allegiance, season 3 episode. It's where Picard got kidnapped by aliens, replaced with a doppelganger,
Yes.
and he wasn't quite right. And at one point, he even has a romantic dinner with Beverly and dances and says they should have a relationship and kisses her. That's actually what clues her in that something's wrong. I don't know if there's anything deeper than that, but yeah, she had a lot of mementos from her life. So she's clearly been. I mean, we know she's been gone for 20 years, but she's also clearly has a lot of mementos for her past too.
Which is interesting because when Picard as a series was first proposed years ago, they said, you're not going to be seeing everybody from the old show because how often do you see your friends from 20 years ago? How often do you think about your life from 20 years ago? You don't do that every day. And here's Crusher doing exactly that.
Yeah.
There was also an audio clip in that opening sequence going over her mementos.
Talk about the Borg, right?
Yeah, about Picard hiding in a nebula. Do you recall that being a specific episode?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up. I don't remember the Enterprise hiding from the Borg, unless it wasn't even a rogue Borg ship because they went and found Lore right away. And so the Borg weren't chasing them. They were always. I'm probably forgetting something. I just don't remember them hiding in a nebula.
Right. It almost sounds like something Voyager would do.
Yeah, and it probably happened. I just don't remember.
Yeah, the timbre of Picard's voice in that recording was from a TNG episode. It didn't sound like old Picard.
Yeah.
So I don't think they've recorded something new just for this, but
what? Why? Oh, no, because I was thinking, was it from the Best of Both Worlds? Did they hide for a little bit before he was captured? Because, like, okay, so the reason I got here, the train, was because she sent a private message with an encryption based on Best of Both Worlds when he was captured. And so, like, was she thinking about that era and then listening to logs and say, okay, this is how I'm going to send a secret message to JL so he'll get the other crew involved as well.
yeah, I have so many questions about that hidden message. Picard's home computer couldn't figure out where it was coming from. It's like, it's not that hard. If a human can figure it out, certainly a computer can. And this Hellcat virus, was that the name of it? Hellcat?
Hellbird?
Hellbird, that you're right. I'm sorry. So I have two issues with that. One is she says, do not involve anybody from Starfleet. And so he immediately goes to Riker, who's in Starfleet. And also, beyond that, they then go and steal a Starfleet vessel with a full Starfleet crew and bring them to the nebula. I was like, oh my God, how are you this bad at listening to Beverly? But secondly, you made a good point. She sent a message that required Picard involve the rest of the crew. So, like, she even though she said don't trust anybody, she clearly meant you have to trust somebody because you're not going to understand this message.
Don't take it too literally. She means don't trust anybody that's not someone you know.
I guess.
To me, it was no question. You could trust your crew. They are your friends for 20 years, 30 years. You know, to me, that did not mean that. But I can see how you think that. But I didn't take it literal in the solo mission.
Because I did take it literally. Because there are, perhaps not in Star Trek, but there's literature, science fiction, fantasy, it's rife with examples of people who are the good guys for a long time and then they go bad. Like, look at the end of the very first Doctor Strange movie. There's I forget his name, but like Doctor Strange's assistant decides there's too many magicians in this world and he's going to go bad. Or Willow in Buffy season 6, or Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern. So you can't trust anybody because people do turn bad.
Or the entire Mission Impossible 1 film.
Yes, that is such a terrible movie in terms of how it respects or doesn't respect the original TV show, because the TV show was about a team working together. And hey, let's start by killing the team and making this a Tom Cruise movie. But also my other objection to Hellbird is, so we never saw in The Best of Both Worlds that the Borg infiltrated the Enterprise's navigation system. Like, that seems like a big deal that we should have known about. And also, when they finally did gain access to the Enterprise's navigation system, what they did was add 3 to everything. That's not a virus, that's a prank. I mean, come on, Borg, you can do better.
You're just testing the waters, I guess. How stupid are these people?
We've never really seen the Borg infiltrate computers like we did at the end of the most recent season of Lower Decks, when the AI went off the rails and started killing everything.
Prodigy.
Was it?
And the Lower Decks. They both did it.
Oh, you're right.
You're right. Nope. We both got there. Just as different. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Well, when I said Lower Decks, I meant Lower Decks. But you're right. Prodigy did it too.
I had forgotten Lower Decks did it. Anyway.
Yes.
So did Discovery.
Yeah, with Control. Yeah, but we never really saw that with the Borg. The Borg never took over computers, really.
I mean, to be honest, I think it's more of an era thing. You didn't really think about those things when they're making Best of Both Worlds. And so, like, I think it was more of this is a show made in a different time. I think the Borg would have. If it was made if they were introduced today, they would have.
That's a good point.
I mean, they even hint at it here, which I think is going to be a major issue in this season. Seven made an offhand comment about how things are automated now.
That's right.
Picard's like, shouldn't you go to tell them about 9.9? She made a hint about how things are connected now, and with Beverly sending a message to a ancient communicator, it's like she knows this, I feel, somehow, and is making sure she's on a secure channel, so someone who knows doesn't or won't, or who could know won't know. I think somehow it's connected.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of
Season
that.
2, Picard, I can even go a little bit further. They mentioned how the Stargazer, because I just watched this episode again in preparation. Seven's uncomfortable on the Stargazer because it's the first of new line of ships that use Borg technology.
Yeah, and you and I discussed briefly when the trailer for this Picard season came out that I'm surprised they're not just reusing that ship, because they made a point of it being built with Borg technology. That seems like it has a lot of plot potential. And like, no, let's go to is it the Titan?
Yeah, it's so funny. Watching season 2 opener and then them walking back on the same set, acting like it's a whole new ship. Like the exact same scene. They had Seven meet up with Picard in front of the airlock, and it had the exact same paneling on the sides. And then here, the exact same scene starts the exact same way. They go to the same bridge that's been a little redressed, but acting like it's all whole new, and like we were just here like a week ago filming.
Well, not only that, but all 3 seasons of Picard start the same way, with Picard at his vineyard getting a message that he's the only person who can help.
You're right.
The first season was an android. The second season was the Borg. The third season is Crusher. And I'm disappointed not only at that lack of originality, but this time I guess all 3 times, but especially this time, he has a former Romulan Tal Shiar who is with him when he gets the message, and she says, "Oh, you go off and have fun. I'll wait for you." I'm like, oh my god, Romulan Tal Shiar, you have skills. You can join this mission.
I would love to have Laris. I was so surprised they even brought her back, but she was already on set because they filmed these seasons back to back. I didn't expect that. So I started tearing up seeing that. I was very happy. But yeah, she gave her like, as a former Tashiar, you need to do this. But I could see why she didn't. Well, she's like, I gotta go. I can't be back until the last episode of the season to be there when you come. So my plot point needs me to go away. But I wish they would have found space to bring her along.
Yeah, because she has so much potential as a
Yeah.
character, as a plot device, as everything. Like she has this rich history and skill set and relationship with Picard that we haven't really seen develop.
Which I think one of the reasons why leads to someone who they're not bringing back. It's going to be, this is a spoiler, but not a spoiler. I saw an article this week that they were actually considered having Naomi Wildman in the season.
That'd be great.
And they realized, like, we have 73 people who need plots. We can't have her as well. And so, like, I can see why they cut her and cut Orla as being Laris. Like, we have the entire cast plus Raffi plus 7. Like, we got to cut our losses somewhere.
I'm already disappointed that Rios is not in this season. I know why he's not, but I would love to see Rios and Riker sit down at the poker table together.
They'd be so good. They'd be so good.
Yeah.
But
did you hear about the season 3 premiere that they had for the whole cast? Yeah. And Bonnie Gordon, friend of the show and Star Trek Prodigy actor, was there, and she tweeted about it. And also Will Wheaton wrote a nice Tumblr post about it. I don't know if you saw any of this.
Can tell us, yeah.
Okay, so the premiere was the first 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Wheaton was there, of course. And at one point in the evening, I forget if it was before or after the premiere, they, there was speeches, and they said to the cast of Picard, everybody stand up. And so everybody but Will Wheaton stood up because he's not in this season. And he was like, you know what? This isn't about me. This is about them. Even though it hurts, even though I had that great cameo in season 2, I'm just going to be happy for them. So he was sitting there clapping and applauding, and the whole TNG cast is up there. And at one point, he and Jonathan Frakes catch each other's eyes, and Jonathan Frakes looks stunned, and he's like, Will, what are you doing sitting down? Get up here. And Will's like, well, it's not about me. And John's like, you know what? You're right. It's about us, and you're part of us. So get up here. And so Will Wheaton stood up, and
it's so beautiful.
It was a very emotional moment for him. And he says that Jonathan Frakes was in a lot of ways the father he never had.
Yeah, it was a great blog post. One good reason to stay on Tumblr or read his blog. He puts it on Tumblr too.
There are a lot of reasons to stay on Tumblr.
There are a lot. I said it's one good reason. I didn't say the reason.
Okay. I apologize. I take it back. The other reason, full disclosure, being that I work for the company that makes it. So if anybody wants to sign up for Tumblr for free, let me know.
I don't know. Get those double badges.
Oh my gosh. I love that they did that. Anyway. I actually don't have any influence or sway or stake in Tumblr, but I work with the people who do, and they're just having so much fun these days.
All right, let's go talk about the Titan a little bit.
What about the Titan?
For a joke. I was waiting for. Oh yeah.
Sorry. One more thing. Just to go roughly in order, they were. We need to circle back to that. So they were in 10 Forward, the bar. And speaking of characters that they didn't bring back, Guinan. Like it would have been almost effortless to have her just make a cameo, just like Laris did. Say, hey, good to see you. Go off on your adventure, but I'm here because this is my bar. I felt like that was an oversight, and clearly it was not an accidental one. But I was expecting to see her.
Right. And no one wants the fat one. I love the little charm of that little scene and Will having fun with that.
They're basically Christmas tree ornaments, just like you and I have.
A model line you can get that you can buy, but apparently this company, I don't know if the company is troubled or if the supplies are so low that the prices are so marked up. But I saw people complaining about it, and it's an actual line of models you can buy.
Oh, that's cool, but nobody wants them.
I think it's more like the supply chain is so low.
Right.
If I recall, I could be wrong, but.
Also, I was disappointed in 2 things. One, Picard says, I haven't seen Crusher in 20 years. And I was like, we like to pretend that all these people are still friends and have, just continued the camaraderie that they built in TNG, and that didn't happen. And it reminds me of Ghostbusters Afterlife. Did you see that one?
I've never got around to it.
Oh, well, there's a similar divide. This isn't the first 10 minutes of the movie where one of the Ghostbusters hasn't spoken to the others in 20 years. And there's a reason for that, as you find out. But I hope that Crusher has a good reason. But also, Riker says that Deanna and their kid wouldn't mind some time away from him. And I found that disappointing because we've been rooting for them for like 35 years. And now their relationship is on the rocks, which might be an exaggeration. But also, she's going to be in this season. So I don't know.
A lot of people took that. I took that as mainly him being like, he's got a thing coming up and he's being annoying. And they're like, oh, finally some time away from Will. But he did not smirk, which I was waiting for. So I don't know. I don't know if there's actually something on the rocks, or if they're just having a hard time with their child who's dead still, or if he's just the kid who died.
No, I get it, but
or if he's just yes, I know. I don't know how to word it. Or if he's just being annoying because he has to give a speech soon, and they're like, "Go, Will, get out of here."
I don't know. It could be any of those things, and we'll find out because she's going to be in this season. But
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'm sorry. You were saying about the Titan.
Titan. So I love the ship porn. I love seeing space dock again. It was kind of cool seeing the big huge space station. We haven't seen that since the movies, or one of the TNG anyway. Wow, what do you think of the Neo Constitution class?
Neo Constitution in the TOS, that was Constitution, right? Yeah, I mean, Enterprise. I think the original Enterprise, no bloody A, B, C, or D.
Correct.
I thought the Titan looked cool, and this is the same one that Riker showed up in at the end of Lower Deck Season 1, right?
No. Yes and no. It's been refit so much it doesn't look anything like the original.
But it is still the Titan, right?
They alluded to basically it's been changed so much that no. They changed its class entirely. Basically took out, like, you got the insides and they redid the outside completely. It doesn't even look like the Titan from the show. Or barely does. Man, this ship is taking me a bit. First time I saw that, I'm like, huh, that sure is a hero ship, all right. Yeah. It's the second time I watched that clip on YouTube of him showing off the Titan, like, okay, I can get into this. I can get used to this. And then it showed a side profile shot again. I'm like, nope, this is going to take a little longer.
What don't you like about it?
I'm not saying I don't like. It's taken me some bit to get used to this whole. I love the classic design. And I can explain away that there is some love going on in Starfleet design where we're going to go take nods to our yesteryear. We had the whole Frontier days. This is a perfect ship. We have a Neo Constitution that looks a little bit like the classic ships, but then we're going to also make it new. And it just looks goofy having the Constitution class saucer with a modern hull. I just felt a little weird at first. I'm getting more used to it. And that third watch, when I watched it again, the show, or third time I saw that scene when I watched it again this morning, like, okay, I'm getting into this. But it's taken me a bit. It just looks goofy.
Well, just wait until they detach the nacelles.
God, that's still Discovery. You didn't need to do that. But, I'm getting there. But then it's so dark. I was waiting for Picard to make a joke like, turn on the lights, Seven.
Oh, that's a good point. Now that you mention it, that's true. It was not well lit.
But I still think it's beautiful in its own way. The bridge too. It's just turn on a damn light.
Yep.
I love seeing Geordi's daughter, one of his daughters, which is LeVar's actual daughter.
So I saw a photo of LeVar's actual daughter on the set, and she was wearing a...
Too.
Are they both on this show?
Yes, but we haven't seen the other one yet.
I see. Because the one I saw was wearing a different color uniform. So when his character's daughter showed up, I was like, oh, that must not be his real life daughter because she plays somebody else. but they both are. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, Miko will show up later. She's on a lot of things, TV wise or hosting, like game wise. She was in Overwatch League for one season as a host. She does stuff with Critical Role a lot. She's even been on Critical Role. She's hosted various gaming events, and so yeah, she's been around.
It's funny. This is a realization I had when I met LeVar Burton at a Star Trek convention in Boston, which is I always thought of LeVar Burton, specifically of all the characters on that show, as like somebody I wish I could have as an older brother because he's just so cool. And then I met him and he was talking about his kids, and I was like, wait a minute, you're not the cool older brother, you're the cool uncle. like I'm closer in age to your kids than I am to you. It's like, oh man.
LeVar Burton's daughter, Mika, is his real daughter. The one who we saw is an actress playing Geordi's daughter. I keep spitting out, when I was sitting here questioning, wait, I keep saying this wrong. LeVar Burton has one daughter.
Oh.
There's two people playing it. I keep saying this, and I keep correcting myself, and after 10 minutes later, wait, no, I just said that wrong. The actress that we saw today in the first episode is not his real life daughter. But his actual daughter will show up. LeVar Burton's actual daughter will show up in a future episode, Mika Burton.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I knew Mika was in the show somewhere, and I didn't think that was her in this episode, and I was right.
No, you're right. I just keep accidentally saying both are, even though I know it's not true. I just keep, every time I just get so excited that I just keep tripping over my own words. But no, it's just a correction there.
Well, I wonder why they didn't have Mika playing Crash LaForge.
They have another role for her.
I guess. I hope it's a good role, because
she's not in. Oh, a spoiler! She's not in Red, so she probably won't die right away. She is in TNG Gold, which was the red shirt color. So who knows?
Look, it's kind of like how Chris Doohan, I think he played his. So that's the son of James Doohan, who played Scotty on TOS. I'm pretty sure Chris Doohan played Scotty on some of those Star Trek New Voyages fan films.
Yes, Star Trek Continues. He played a great job as Scotty, his dad. And also, I highly recommend watching those, even though the person who plays Captain Kirk is a kind of a douche in real life. Those are very good shows and a great send-off to TOS.
So noted. And as a brief aside, did you see that they are building a TNG set up in Ticonderoga, New York?
Yeah, we talked about that, and that's exciting.
Yeah, this is the same place where I went to see the TOS set last summer. We talked about it then. I got to meet William Shatner. And the TNG set, I guess it's not open to the public until this fall, but they are working on it. They're not going to be shooting episodes, which is why they built the TOS episode sets. But I guess this is just for fun, and you can go see those starting later this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No one ever asked, hey, can we go to Ops, DS9's Ops? Man, I would love to walk around Ops. No one does that.
I want to go to Cetaceous Ops.
Yes. Back to the Titan.
Yes.
Shaw
is a racist. He forces Seven to detonate herself. Oh crap! I knew that was problematic. I hadn't thought of it in that exact frame of mind.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
I always wondered if Seven wanted to reclaim her human identity, and this episode made clear that she does not. And you're right. Even Ensign Ro Laren, she made a point of saying, no, most Bajorans bastardize their names to accommodate Federation standard, but no, my first name is last and my last name is first, and I'm going to stick to that. And Picard's like, cool, you can even wear an earring.
Yeah.
But 7 of 9, she can't even have her own name.
Right. Nope. He's a douchebag that way. The only thing he's got going for him, is that for his point of view, Picard is a Badmiral who he's got his Badmiral episode of the week here. You get this Admiral who just comes up and say, hey, I'm going to do my own thing. You mentioned every other episode of Star Trek, that's the worst thing, is when an Admiral just comes on and tries to take over your ship.
And he wasn't even a very good Badmiral. He was bad at it.
He is, but I just like the thought of, yep, to Shaw, this is his Badmiral episode.
Still, though, there are some things that you can't chalk up to that, like him starting dinner early because, oh, your reputation preceded you so far into the
Oh, no,
room.
no,
I
no,
just
he's a
thought,
douchebag. I wasn't
yeah,
apologizing.
okay, just making
I
sure.
don't make that clear. I thought it was
Oh,
funny.
yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay. Yeah, no, he doesn't even go down to meet Picard and Riker when they appear. Uh, he knows something's up. This random admiral shows up and like, hey, let's go take a cruise.
Yeah, but even if something wasn't up, he would still be a jerk.
Yep. Yeah.
Because the way he treats Seven is independent of the way he treats Picard. And I'm disappointed that Seven hasn't had an easier lot, because coming to terms with her Borg identity was a big part of last season, and now she's not being allowed to do that. And that's not only disappointing for her, but also from a storytelling perspective, I feel like in some ways it's almost one-dimensional, that the only thing that's important about Seven is that she's ex-Borg. Like, so is Picard, but that almost rarely comes up in a meaningful way. But for Seven, it's like everything, all the time. It's always your former Borg. You have an implant. People see you a different way. Blah blah blah. What's your name? And I'm like, there's more to her than that. Like, if you were to take away that history of Seven, I think she, like, I want to know about Seven, the Fenris Ranger, which she alluded to this episode. That's more interesting to me at this point in her life than Seven, the ex-Borg.
No, see, that's how you have easy villains, is to hit that one note. People who, I mean, that's gonna be my life forever. That's every racist thing. They only see the one thing. They don't see the person behind it. And so whenever someone brings that kind of stuff up, you know that they're not a good person. I mean, it's an easy storytelling device, but there's definitely more to Seven, and we know that.
Right. And I wish, and like, clearly you're correct that Captain Shaw is the bad guy for only seeing that one dimension of Seven. But I wish the storytellers, the writers, would create opportunities for Seven to demonstrate other aspects of herself.
Yeah, we just don't get enough Seven, and maybe if we can get a spin-off show, that'd be great.
I agree with both statements you just made.
I mean, this is a show about the TNG crew, sadly. I would love more space for Seven. I just don't think she's going to be able to given that space.
What did you think of the moment when Picard introduced her to Riker?
That was one of the moments I almost teared up, because just like seeing her in that role and seeing her in uniform finally after all these years. They forced her into that little skin tight cat suit back in the day. Seeing how she actually got that, it was a good moment. It was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons I try to avoid trailers, is because it would have been a nice surprise to see her show up, but I knew it was her. The actual introduction, though, it was not notable, but it was just neat as a fan to realize, like, oh, these two characters have never met before. Mm-hmm. And we actually get to see them, like, formally introduce themselves, and that was just like, it was almost like a meet cute. I was like, oh, it's Riker and Seven. Like, this is because Riker, I mean, he showed up on an episode of Voyager when Q snapped him there. I think that was,
she wasn't there yet.
Yeah, that was pre-7.
And she wasn't in the scene,
right? But then again, neither was Chekhov and Khan. Like, they never met, but that didn't matter when they did the movie. So yeah, I was just glad to. I'm looking forward to more moments like that, because I presume Seven is going to be in the rest of the season.
Yeah, she'll be around.
Good.
I also appreciate the nod to Beta Canon with the Titan crew. It was a very multi-species crew. The Titan in the books was its big thing was to be not basically a mostly human ship.
Oh.
They had peoples of all planets on there, and you could see that in the crew here too. It was extremely noticeable that it was not mostly human, if you look at them.
I have not read, I mean, I've read extensive Star Trek fiction, but mostly either TOS or anthologies, and neither of those went into the Titan at all. So I did not know that.
Yeah, I've only ever read like the first book or two, whatever, of the Titan's adventures, but that was one of its neat things. Because you could do that in a book when you didn't have to worry about an animation budget or a CGI budget, right?
Right.
That's where they also had God, what's the people with Picard, his arms open, Tenor- Te-
The Tamarian.
Marion, thank you. Yeah, they had a crew member there. I think it was a doctor.
Really, on the Titan?
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
I thought
This is
Lower
beta
Decks was
canon.
the first person to
Beta
have.
canon.
No, I get that, but
Mhm.
that's pretty cool. Oh, also, speaking of the Titan's former captain, a good way to make Shaw the bad guy is to make him not like jazz.
Yep, yep. Had a, um, and yeah, he's gonna be man. Oh god, I also gotta kick him basically acting like Picard and Riker were cowboys. Don't pay attention to the rules. Like, by the end of TNG, they did kind of ignore them a lot, but when Picard and TNG was around at first, it's like, like man, he does things by the book when Kirk didn't, and now
Roles are
here he's
reversed.
like acting like these two are the cowboys, and this guy is the prim and proper one. I got a kick out of that. Like,
I will say that Kirk did a much better job of stealing a Starfleet ship in The Search for Spock than Picard and Riker are doing here.
I don't think they are stealing it. They just
I-
borrowing it.
I think they should have stolen it because Kirk did it better.
Clearly. Kind of getting stuck here. We're getting a little long on time. We only have much to talk about left.
I want to point out that so talking about how racist Shaw is, and then Seven was clearly frustrated. Like she said, like, Picard, you and Janeway encouraged me into this role, and all I get is people like Shaw seeing me as ex-Borg. And I was like, maybe request a transfer as opposed to mutiny. I don't know. I mean, like, I like that she changed direction based on Picard's needs without even knowing what they were. Like, she called him into observation and yelled at him, even though she'd already done what he wanted. And she's almost certainly going to lose her career out of that, unless it turns out that Captain Shaw is what's the equivalent of a bad admiral when you're a captain? A
I
Bapton?
hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Maybe he's under control of something. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh man, I actually her tearing up, breaking up in that room made me about do that too when she's yelling at JL.
Mm-hmm.
And Riker not knowing how close they are is also interesting.
That's true.
Like, that's how you talk to an admiral, and it's like, no, I talked to my friend. Like, that was so good. That was so good.
I thought, and this would have been easy to confirm by going back and watching previous episodes of Picard. I thought Riker was an admiral at this point, but he's not.
No.
I must have been thinking of the anti-time future timeline from All Good Things, because he was an admiral there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was just surprised when they kept talking about, like, oh, Captain Riker. I was like, really? You've been in Starfleet this long and you're still a captain? I mean, on the other hand,
everyone kept telling the JL.
well, look at how long it took Riker to go from first officer to captain. He kept turning down all those promotions.
So Picard kept doing it too.
And even Kirk said to Picard, "Don't let them put you behind a desk."
Yep.
I
mean, and Kirk was a captain for a long time too, and he got demoted for stealing a starship.
Yeah, he got demoted from admiral to captain, which is exactly what he wanted. So anyway, go on.
Yeah, so we get to this desolate part of space, the edge of Federation space. We get Beverly's ship, and suddenly, wow, we find out she has a son.
Yeah, that's a huge slap in the face to Will Wheaton, in my opinion.
Something feels so weird about this. I don't know. They kept he's got a British accent for some reason. Accents are not hereditary. They kind of allude to, is this his? But that kid was not 20 years old. That actor is not 20 years old.
You think he's older?
Yeah.
Yeah, I suspect a lack of biological relation as well.
But they kept hinting, yeah, I don't think so. I think and I don't think it's a ghost candle baby.
No. Also,
what's up?
How weird is it that you have this stasis pod with only controls on the outside? Like, you can't put yourself into a stasis pod? That's rather limited.
I don't know. I don't think about I haven't thought about how stasis technology works, except for Alien. You can get out if you need to, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't think this character is a bad guy, but I think there's a lot more to him than we have learned in this one short episode.
Yeah, we saw him for like what, a minute total screen time.
Yeah.
Besides him screaming off camera.
He's clearly somebody that Crusher also values because she sealed him in that room at one point in an effort to protect him. But yeah, there's something
He may
weird
very
there.
much be her son, but I don't know the connection yet. Or adopted, I don't know. But accents aren't hereditary, so I hope that's not where they're going with that.
Yeah, accents are based on where you grew up.
I learned Mr. accent from listening to your logs, father.
Oh gosh. I hope that this isn't some sort of like Crusher says, "Oh, I stole some of your DNA during your last scan,
I know.
Picard," and
I named him. I made a clone and sent him off to Romulus.
right. Oh, not
He grew up.
again. Not
Or
again.
Remus.
But even in the opening moments, we saw Jack Crusher's name in
Yeah, she has a lot of mementos, like a bag of Jack Crusher.
a bag of Jack Crusher.
Yeah, it had his name across it.
Oh,
You can take that literal if you want, but
sorry, I thought you were talking about his remains.
no, just had like his suitcase.
A bag that belonged to Jack Crusher. Got it.
Sure.
Okay.
And so like, I mean, all these mementos, which I thought was neat.
Yeah.
But anyway, not much more to go on there, except we got spiky ship comes out of Nebula. We'll probably see who it is next week, which I'm interested in seeing your reaction.
Me too.
if it's the person I think it's gonna be. Anyway.
Ooh. We haven't spoken at all about Rafi.
That's the next thing I want to get in there. This is the opening joke. Now you're thinking with portals, because holy shite.
Okay, so I think that scene should have been the cliffhanger on which this episode ended, because I found it truly horrifying, and
Right?
it was and I think what made it so was the fact that you could hear people screaming.
Yes.
Like, in some ways, this reminded me of the Avengers movie where the city floats up into the sky and then it crashes down.
I already forgot about that.
Yeah, but that city, like, they evacuated all the people. And so I think fatalities were kept to a minimum, and we certainly didn't see them. Age of Ultron, that was the movie. But this one, like, it's just out of the blue. There's no warning. It took me a moment to realize what was happening. I thought it was just like something had exploded or imploded, but then I realized it was being teleported, and oh my god, that is...
Yeah.
Whew.
These things stolen from the Daystrom instrument was a quantum... was it?
Yeah.
Tunneling. It was basically the quantum warp drive that Voyager had.
Oh, okay.
That tech, if I understood correctly. Yeah, holy crap. Raffi herself here, Michelle Hurd, playing her as a junkie. Like, we get to see this part of Raffi that was before Picard started that we knew about but had never seen. Like, Michelle played that so well. Like, I, even knowing better, still believed her. And I was like, did I mishear wrong? Like, did I misunderstand what's going on here? Like, I believed her, even when I knew it wasn't true.
I believed her up until the moment when she offered the Orion more money, because I realized she has to be funded by an outside source to have that kind of money. You know, up until that moment, I thought when she said she got drummed out of Starfleet, her girlfriend left her, I was like, well, why not? Crusher hasn't talked to Picard in 20 years. Deanna and Riker are on the rocks. Why not have bad crap happen to all of our favorite characters? So sure, I believe that too. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You have money? Yeah, that's Starfleet's money.
She's such a good actress. She is amazing. And then her on La Serena, watching her, like an old video of her daughter. Or granddaughter.
Granddaughter, because she met up with her son at Cloud City, I think.
This is a few years later. This is kind of implying. That was just very tender and sweet. And her talking to her handler, which I think I know who it is. You think you know who it is?
I hadn't even thought about it. For some reason, it didn't occur to me that it might be important.
I think, based on the text wording, I think it's going to be Worf.
That's interesting.
You are a warrior. And the way he said, like, something like, speak freely. Like, that is Worf. I think it's Worf.
But I thought he was an ambassador to the Klingon Empire.
At the end of DS9, it's been 20 years. Oh, have you been watching the Star Trek logs?
Nope.
They've been giving non-spoiler talks about what's going on in the last 20 years.
Ooh.
A little bit, like even like the Enterprise E, what happened there, the Titan here, and its refit. Definitely check out these Star Trek logs. There's some fascinating background information on people's how they got to where they are now without spoiling anything.
Ooh, I might need to watch that.
There's a whole bunch of them. So yeah, but they didn't say anything alluding that this is Worf. But in those Star Trek logs, but he is not. He hasn't been an ambassador. I think he was there for maybe 10 minutes in that role. I don't think even by the movies that he was the ambassador anymore. Movies.
I will say that Starfleet intelligence is not very good at their job.
Right?
I'll give you two examples. One is Rafi was surprised that Starfleet intelligence had her Starfleet record. Like, oh, I have a drug problem? I'm so surprised by this. And second of all, well, brief tangent. If I were to ask a galactic computer, list all the big events, and it came back with only 3, I was like, that's a really good filter you got there.
That's a really good AI to understand the relevance.
Right. But also, the Red Lady, I'm like, everybody is talking about Frontier Day. There are signs in 10 forward. Picard is giving a speech. And nobody thought that Red Lady might be, this big red statue of Lady Captain Garrett of the Enterprise.
Well, apparently, Raffi has not been paying attention to Galactic News or Federation News. Maybe she's so deep that she's not even paying attention to what's going on in the outside world.
I'll give Raffi a pass at that, but she gave that information up the chain to her handler. Like, other people should be working on this.
Is also like, is this only a thing that her handler and her and no outside factors? Like, that's just interesting. I guess we don't know enough, but it feels weird, doesn't it?
It does. And also the fact that she showed up just in time to see the attack.
Well, it's on the same planet that she's on.
That explains something. Okay, thank you. I didn't understand that.
Which is very cleverly named Metalis, who is the showrunner.
Oh, I missed that.
But they have an apostrophe, getting rid of a vowel or two here, and it's Metalis. But
nice.
It's named after the showrunner.
Very cool.
But yeah, Raffi's amazing. Michelle Hurd's amazing. But she had a very small part to play in this very grand plan at the moment so far. And seeing the statue of Rachel Garrett was kind of neat. Like, hey, a nod to Enterprise C. Hey.
Yep. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. The end credits were amazing. There are lots of little Easter eggs and hints.
I love the end credits. I suspect they're going to become the opening credits.
Oh, maybe.
Yep. Were there any particular Easter eggs you want to call out?
There was so many going on there. I'm not going to go, but even when I watched it again this morning, right before we started recording, there was one for the Titan. It said it was like a personnel review file, and it had Captain Shaw and then Commander redacted, confidential.
Oh, I missed that.
So is that a hint? Like Seven's going to be running away with Picard and JL? I don't know. Or is someone replacing her? Or is she a secret for some reason? We don't know. Another one, there was a part of it talking about Raffi, and it kept flashing, don't seek blame, do not seek, and then the word cuts off and it just says A-N-G. Then it just repeat that, do not seek blame, do not seek A-N-G. We don't know. It was part of another word.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
And there was a bunch. There was a hint of the quantum tunneling. There was a hint of various things. Like there was a music piece in there. There's so many that I'm not going to list them all off, but you just go watch Google or YouTube Picard end credits. You can see so much on there.
There was one that I took the time to look up. I think it was a record for the ship, the USS Constance. And according to Memory Alpha, that was the first mention of that ship in those credit sequence. Okay.
Oh yeah, there was a mention to the Fleet Museum. That's where Geordi's at. It was mentioned in the show.
Oh yeah,
Picard mentions that. There's a mention of a holodeck program for 10 forward. Holodeck safety protocols off.
Yep, I saw that too.
And so like I'm like, are these? It feels like these are hints of things to come, and that we'll know their importance when we see them again.
I mean, that's certainly true in Discovery's sequence.
Yeah.
Speaking of Easter eggs, there was one I wanted to ask you about at the very beginning of the show when he is packing up his belongings from the vineyard, from the estate, and he picks up something off his desk and says, "These are memories." Was that the Resican flute?
Yeah.
Okay. I just would have thought he would have it in a more protected environment as opposed to just sitting on his desk where somebody might accidentally sit on it.
I mean, they were packing things up, and so
Yeah.
I'm guessing everything's out and getting
That's
ready to
true.
be
Of course,
dropped.
the actual flute was auctioned off years ago at the It's a Wrap auction. But
Possible they got it back. They've done that before for the other pieces. For
really,
this, I mean, it's also possible they made a prop. I mean, probably
did
cheaper.
I don't remember if I mentioned this last year, but did you know the TOS set in Ticonderoga, New York, has an actual prop from Enterprise on it? And at first I thought, well, like you can't mix shows like that. But then I remembered, oh wait, Enterprise is before TOS, so that you can do that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
they.
and that bridge. Well, not that specific one, but they had the TOS bridge showed up on Enterprise too, but in the Defiant.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
In Near Darkly, and things like that.
and they. I think during the Q&A I went to when I went to that set tour, they said that one of the set designers or something saw the Defiant on Enterprise and went to the Ticonderoga, New York set and was asked who did it better, and he's like, "You guys in New York did. This is so much better than what we had on Enterprise. So much more
Oh,
accurate."
oh, for sure. They just had. I mean, they had to do something for a quick little bit on
Right.
Enterprise. Like here, it's a standing thing. In TNG when Scotty was there, that was
Yeah,
a fan created thing that they got permission to use.
I didn't know that.
It was only a partial set, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'm mixing up some stories, but like they've used fan props before in Star Trek. Is what I'm getting at. Even if I was
Cool.
wrong about the specific one.
Hmm.
And so that would be neat if they got the Resican flute back. Also,
For
the Resican flute. If you look up that scene on YouTube, you can tell that
it's not his
Picard is
hands.
playing with his hands, and it's so weird.
It's something that you can't unsee.
When you know it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now somebody has told me. Great. One more prop on the Ticonderoga set in Kirk's quarters is a little
Uh-huh.
golden box that actually is from his quarters from the 60s TV show.
Oh, neat.
And when Shatner was there, which he does twice a year, he was just back there in November. The first time he saw that, he was like, "Where did you get that?" Because apparently he had stolen it off the set and then like had given it to a friend, and then through multiple exchanges it finally ended up in Ticonderoga, and he was like,
Uh-huh.
"People aren't supposed to know that I stole that." So he was a little alarmed to see it there. But anyway, overall feeling about this episode and what it portends for the season?
I am excited, but every first episode of each new shows, I am. So this time I'm going on a little more reserved, but I am excited at what might come. How about you?
Similarly, cautiously optimistic. The first two episodes of last season were great. 2 years ago, it was just great. Not 2 years, 2 seasons ago, it was great to see Picard back in action for the first time in ages. I love that he has peers of his age now. Like, I loved he and Riker quipping about, "Oh, as long as we don't have to shoot or move it, we'll be fine."
That was so
Like,
good. That was so
like,
good.
like my hands are cramped up, my knees are killing me. Like, this is not the next generation. This is the previous generation. I feel like this episode's title was very much tongue in cheek.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Good recovery, Emerald.
or even when he said, like, "Captain, I'm sorry, old habits die hard." Yeah. It'd be great to see them even put on their old uniforms, which I don't think we're going to see, but we know that
No.
Picard has his.
Yeah. They're not going to. I think that was their demand of Jean-Luc or Patrick Stewart. Is I'm not putting that on again.
By the way, I don't know if this has always been true and I've just never noticed it, but Riker is just a bear of a man.
He is a tall, huge person.
And I don't mean that in a negative fashion. I just feel like if he hugged me, first of all, he would envelop the entirety of me, and secondly, he could crush me.
Yeah, that's why he did the Riker maneuver, because he was so tall that he would put his leg up over the short chairs that they had on set.
Oh, is that why?
Uh huh.
Yeah,
And it was so cute seeing. Will Wheaton talk about that in his blog post. Like he used to do that because he had he looked at idolized Jonathan Frakes so much that Will Wheaton would do that too as Crusher.
Aw. Wait, did Crusher, did he do that on the show? Did he sit like
Apparently,
Riker?
or maybe he never got something on air, but he said he would do that anyway
Oh, okay.
because he looked up to Jonathan Frakes. If he did on the show, I don't remember, but he said that he did it because he looked up to Jonathan Frakes so much.
That makes sense. But for some reason, I never got that physical impression of Riker when he was on TNG. This feels
They're
new.
very good with the cameras, aren't they?
Yeah, and I'm trying not to say that in the last 20 years he's gained weight because I don't think that's true. But he just seems like he has more presence now than he did 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's a very powerful presence, isn't he?
How tall is Jonathan Frakes?
I'm gonna see like 5'2". No.
Oh God, I'm in Hungary, so Google tells me he's 1.91 meters.
Oh, he's. What? I don't know space points. Translate that into American.
6 feet 3 inches.
Wow,
So,
tall man.
Yeah. By the way, you and I were chatting before the show about how I am in Budapest, and there is a statue here to Columbo, of all people. And then I discovered and you reinforced the fact that there was a spin-off that lasted for 13 episodes called Mrs. Columbo, starring Kate Mulgrew. She was only 24 years old at the time.
Still young. So young.
I had no idea.
She was older than Cass, Jennifer Lee, when she was on Voyager.
Wow. Yeah. So I need to go watch Mrs. Columbo on YouTube, clearly.
I don't know if you need to.
I need to see the opening sequence. How's that?
There you go.
All right, cool. Anything else?
I got nothing more on Picard. I'm hopeful and expectations low.
Yeah, I don't know how many podcast episodes we're going to do. We were thinking maybe like every other episode of Picard. But we'll play it by ear. We'll certainly be here to talk more, but the frequency is TBD. But I hope our listeners tune in whenever we're on the air.
Yeah. So until next time. Wait, no, you gotta say that. Otherwise, I can't set myself up. It just sounds weird.
You killed me. Until next time.
Hit it. 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, I like rhythm. I like meter. I like keeping tempo.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on iTunes and keep your hailing frequencies open by following us on Twitter @TransporterLock or subscribing to our podcast and email newsletter at transporterlock.com.